Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about mods, getting into kind of how to react to the Lightspeed bundles that you purchased, the way that you may need to change your energy farming, the way you need to change the way you spend your crystals in order to more match what your account needs right now. So we're going to go ahead, guys, get into this video. Please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's give a massive shout out to our channel members for all of their continued support. If you're ever interested, that link is down below, along with a link to the Discord server. So thank you guys for putting your faith in me to bring you quality content in this game, to bring you stuff that is going to help you make your account better and get more enjoyment out of this game. Let's get in here into our intro, and we're going to talk about mods. Alright guys, so let's dive right in here. So to first understand about modding, the first question you have to ask yourself, do you need quantity or quality? And here's kind of the way you differentiate this. Quantity says, I don't have mods for these guys and I need them. That you don't have the mod inventory, that you got all these characters and you don't have mods to equip to them. That's a quantity issue. A quality issue is I have mods on them. Like, I myself am in a quality issue, right? I don't have a quantity issue. I literally have a quality issue that, like, I have mods on these guys. Are they the best mods? Absolutely not. But there's at least mods on these characters that between these guys and the other ones in my account, I've got mods on everybody. So I'm not in this, like, quantity crisis, but I am in a quality crisis. And so the way that you have to react is going to vary depending on what you need. So we'll talk about both of these things, and we're going to cover quality first because that's a little bit simpler, right? So the first question to ask, regardless of quantity or quality, is can you afford to do the 3x3x50? To further explain what that means, right, what you need to understand is the way that I view mod farming, the way that I view mod energy, all that stuff. So here, we're going to pop over to this Google spreadsheet I had made a while ago. And what this did is kind of breaks out my crystal spending based on all these different variables. I did a whole video on this, but just to kind of give you guys the real quick, I always break down energy into the big three, mods, and then conquest. So your big three are light side, dark side, cantina, and ships. That's because these are the things that, as a free-to-play, that actually progress your account forward, right? That's your gear. And this is going off the fact that a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are characters in your roster who, to a certain extent, will no longer need mods, right? That you get through some of those Galactic Legend farms and you're like, I still have never used, you know, Stick Ray. I mean, yeah, she's a pilot, so I kind of need mods on her, but I've never used, you know, who'd be a good example? There's not many left, but like Commander Cody, or, you know, Ewoks, right? Like, if I need to use them, I can put mods on them, but most of the time, I'm not, you know, utilizing those characters. But I always say those are your big three. And then mods are kind of their own thing, where when you're ready to start spending on mods is when you have a lot of currency at that point, because modding is this, I always say modding is a concept of, you know, it's skill when luck becomes a habit. It's such a cocky saying, but it's so true that modding is all luck, but there's a skill to it that you'll eventually get luckier as you invest more into them. I just think it's better to focus on other areas because of the randomness with mods. That I can tell you right now, just like flat out, you know, as I flip back over here, the amount of crystals, the amount of energy that goes into modding for me is absurd. So this whole 3x3x50 by 3x100 is saying, hey, can you do refreshes of every single kind of energy? If you do, you don't need to worry about, like, hey, do I need to stop using a certain kind of energy? If you have to cut something out to afford mods, cut out the ships. If you bought these Lightspeed bundles, most of you do not need relic gear anymore. Or if you do, you don't need it in the same quantities that you did before, right? Because if you're going for General Skywalker and you bought the General Skywalker bundle, you have you need, what, 2 relics to finish that? You need Padme and you need C-3PO, which I don't even know that you need relics, but you get the point. You need 2 characters to continue out, like, hey, I've got every single requirement done. So you don't need the ships yet anymore, right? Like, we can focus on modding because your need for Gear 13 gear is not as insane. You can offset everything you need with your raid currency because you're not going after 15 new characters to relic right away, thanks to the bundles. So if you're going to cut out one, you got to cut out the ships and you'll do like a 2x3x50 and a 3x100, still spending like 600 crystals a day, which is not that hard, right? It's pretty easy. Now, quality versus quantity, getting back into, hey, which way? So, if you need quality, if you're in a situation where you do not have the quality of mods, focus on slicing materials. You're going to want to focus on taking mods to 6 dot, right? And honestly, your goal really should first be to focus on the key primaries. So that would be something like health. Health is the one mod that you get the most out of going from 5 dot to 6 dot. And then other things like offense and defense are really good. Critical damage, tenacity, potency, all are very good. Speed is okay. And then protection is the worst jump. You only get like a 0.5% increase, but it does increase all your secondary stats. The difference being, I'm going to get all those secondary stat increases on a health mod, so I may as well boost my primary too. So kind of go through it in that order. And channel members, if I haven't covered that, scream at me, but I swear I've told you guys like the order with which you want to upgrade those mods. But the other thing you're going to want to do is try to focus on just keeping the mods at like green and or blue. You don't want to go much beyond that because it gets extremely expensive very quickly. Just to show you this. At this point here, you need 10 of these, 10 of these, 20 of these. Like these are not easy to obtain, right? They're not fun. So to go up to purple there, right? Because you need only 10 of them to go from green to blue, right? And a lot less of these resources. So it gets very expensive to get to, later and later stage modding. So my advice is always just to kind of stick with the green and maybe a few blue here and there on your entire team first. And then you can get into fine tuning your mods once the entire team has, decent mods on them. The only reason I say that is because I have the equivalent of basically like 3 6E mods just in the slice from purple to gold on this Supreme Leader Kylo Ren set. So I went crazy with these mods and calibrated some of them, right? But he's fine-tuned. So this is, and fine-tuning is like the final stage of your mod process where the mod is basically almost perfect for that character, right? With Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, like I could slice off this potency to get offense. That would make it more perfect. But these mods are really well designed for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, that the stats and the rolls are all helping him. That's fine tuning, and that's the last thing you want to do. I don't want you skipping, hey, you know what? I'm just going to leave Kylo Ren unmasked, First Order Officer, Hux, and Sith Trooper with garbage mods, and I'm going to go all in on Kylo. Like, that's not a good idea because the rest of your team will get completely deleted that much earlier, leaving a lone Supreme Leader Kylo Ren that is very vulnerable. Same thing with other characters as well, that you don't want to leave your Galactic Legend vulnerable because you didn't feel like modding everybody else. So a very, very good lesson there if you're fine-tuning. Hey, wait till you get the team's mods. So again, if you're, slicing mods, we're going to be farming the slicing materials if you need the quality. Now, if you're in a quantity situation, you just need mods, what you're going to need to do is figure out the type of mod you need besides health mods. The thing with health mods that's kind of challenging, now I will say this, we used to get a lot more of these because the marquee events would give us 5 health mods every single time. So that definitely has changed. So I still think you'll get health mods, but you may need to do a little bit of farming here and there. Nothing crazy, but a little bit, because you still get health mods from Smuggler's Run, Smuggler's Run 2. The Separatist Assault Battle is a great source of health mods, and you may get them from a few other events, but you're going to want to pick the mod that you need the most outside of health, right? Like the mod set outside of health. And I think that it's going to really boil down to 2 sets that you should be focusing on. And that's speed or offense. I always say that if you generalize mods, you only need speed, health, and offense. You either want the character to have a ton of survivability, health, you want them to be extremely fast, speed, or they need to hit hard, offense. I understand there are other, there's defense, and I get that. But down in its core, almost every single character wants one of those stats in some way, shape, or form. There are very few characters who actually don't benefit from those stats, right? So I always kind of use that as an argument that if you're trying to farm sets and you're just looking for a general help, it's speed or offense is kind of those general sets, because and I'm just going to use an example here of somebody like Dr. Aphra, who loves potency. Yes, there are other characters who like potency, but not to the same degree that Dr. Aphra does. So if you get a mediocre potency mod, you might not have somebody to put that on. But you get a mediocre speed offense mod, and you may actually have a bunch of characters who could use that. So I kind of try to generalize it and say you want to go speed or offense here if you're looking for that like quantity, and then just offset it with health where necessary. You will get to a point where we can buy other mod types, right? You can get to that point where, hey, you know what? I'm going to go buy, some other mods. And this kind of and we'll get into this in a second here, but yes, other mods do exist. Yes, there are ones that are important. Potency, critical damage is kind of, it's kind of losing some stuff, but like defense can be good at times. So those mods will come in, again, they'll come in time. We don't need to worry about them yet. So with that, we talk about, okay, speed or offense. So then finally, what do you do with your currency? So there's two major things you're going to want to do when you're looking at your mods. Number one is with your Mark 1 raid currency, we're going to need to change the way you spend it. This is for two reasons. First reason is because you're going to need resources to buy mods with, right? Number one, you need the credits to upgrade mods. You're also going to want resources to buy mods with. I just bought this mod here, and it turned into a 20 speed secondary mod with some decent offense percent there. So you're going to want to make sure that you're buying mods that are decent, right? That have some potential to be a very good mod. And be picky. Like I'll say in the beginning, right, you might be, you know what, I'm just going to buy this because it's got speed on it. But start to get picky. Like look for those mods that are really, really good. Don't just go with the speed. You want to think that, hey, if this mod didn't roll speed and it rolled a ton of offenses, there's somebody who can use it. Like this one here. It's a potency mod, but it doesn't have potency percent. It's a skip for me. So that's kind of the stuff that I'd say, hey, be a little bit pickier if you are going to buy mods. But the other reason you're going to want credits outside of buying them is obviously doing all the upgrades. The other thing I would say is switch to buying some of these mod slicing materials. As you're farming mods, you're going to get a lot of ones. They're not all going to be gold. In fact, almost none of them will be gold. So you're going to want to have an inventory of some of these slicing materials that, hey, I got this purple mod or this blue mod. I'm going to bring it up and see if I can get some additional speed rolls and then eventually take that to 6 dot. So having some of these on hand with your Mark 1 raid currency is a great way to offset that. And honestly, if you bought these light speed bundles, why the hell do you need core gear? Similar situation to your relic materials. Or those relic, relic gear. If all you need is like C-3PO and Padme for a General Skywalker farm, you shouldn't really need that much core gear. In fact, you need Kyrotech more than you need the core gear. But the idea, what I'm trying to portray to you guys, you could probably get away with not worrying as much about these resources, about this gear, as long as you're focusing on, utilizing those resources to build more mods. So that's the end of the video. I hope that kind of makes sense. Of course, I think my game just crashed, but we're going to end it with that. So I love you all. Hopefully that made sense. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.